I'm ready to get the most.
Okay, we are here.
I love it.
The Unshakable Lifestyle Podcast.
Unshakable every single day.
What an opportunity to be unshakable.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I might be unshakable today. I might be feeling good. Yeah, this last week, like I said, I was dealing with some business struggles. I was dealing with some problems, and I'm really excited for this podcast because I think obviously we all deal with struggles, and we're gonna have beautiful Bobby Kline on today, Jonathan Combs, and these are two men who are real and genuine, and something that drives me crazy sometimes in the business world, and I understand why it exists, but is the fake positivity. The fake positivity, and I get there's a time and place for it. So my point is, like, sometimes
Let it be genuine.
Sometimes there's people who are ingenuine about it. They're just like you'll be like, oh, I'm having a really hard week. This is really bad stuff's happening. Like, limited belief. You're like, come on, dude. Like, I'm actually things are actually hard right now, and that doesn't mean that you can't work at it the right way. It doesn't mean you can't think about it the right way. But like, that's one thing I just love about John and Bobby. I've had conversations with Bobby where Bobby will be like, no, dude, this is hard. This is hard. Like, running a big business, like doing all these things, it's hard. And like, that doesn't mean that's bad. I love doing it, but like, there's highs and lows to everything. And like, and if you can at least be like, you can have the right mindset, but at least sometimes it's nice to be around people who are genuine about the lows.
Yeah. And I will say this too, like, whenever we call people out or each other for limiting beliefs, let's not start with that.
Yes.
Like, how about we acknowledge that whatever you're going through is valid, and feelings are always valid. Like, nobody can argue with those. So like, acknowledge that. And then we can call out truth and honesty and like show, hey, actually, here's another area that you could focus on. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly,
I think there's effective and more effective. And I would say that is more effective.
Yes. I think, like I said, it can take away from people's, feelings towards something when it's always just a limiting belief. Like, sometimes you're like, well, this limiting belief really hurts my butt today. Like, this doesn't feel good. But yes, excited about it. Like I said, I want to dive so deep.
Yeah, amen. Sorry about that. Jonathan just texted me.
No, that's fine. Mindset and business. I want to dive deep into both these today. I really want to ask some deep questions, like, what are the things that make your mindset feel the most solid? Like daily habits, things like that you could go into. And for Bobby, especially because he has such a more long-term duration in this than the rest of us. Like, how were you different now than you were back then? Like back then, like, what were your habits that, made this possible? Now, what are your habits make possible? What's changed about the way you look at business? The money, at like financial stability, at some of these things compared to what you did, 10 years ago when you were starting to do this?
That question excites me. Are you asking me that right now?
No, I'm asking him, but I mean, if you want to answer that, you can.
No, dude, it's
we'll
beautiful.
dive deep into it when I ask him.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. He said, do I hop on now? I said, yes.
Just get the heck on here.
God dang it. I'm going to say join us.
I have been noticeably swearing less.
Praise God.
I've been trying.
Me too. That's awareness for change, bro.
I'm not going to stop, but I'm going to I'm going to educate myself on the fact that it should be 20% of my vocabulary and not 80.
Nice. I respect that.
Good way to put it.
Yeah. Amen. And speaking of putting it, here comes Jonathan.
There he is.
Yeah. Whoa. Look at that. Look at that freaking man.
Your beard looks so much better on camera. I love it.
And in the lighting too. Look at it. It's just look vibrant.
You look like the golden goose. Your audio's not on.
Here, I will ask him to unmute.
In the bottom left corner, he can hear us, I think. In the bottom left corner, hit mute.
Yeah, there's a button for it too. There we go. He's no longer muted. You're good now, bud. Speak. Finger, dude.
Nope. Can't hear him. He's got to find the button.
Browser problem.
Browser problem. Dude, you're
Browser
fired.
opportunities.
You're
Let's go,
fired
baby.
right now. You'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Boom.
Well, while he's sitting here figuring this out, let's just talk about Jonathan.
Yeah, let's talk about him, dude. Let's also talk about that amazing question that's coming up here for Kline Investments.
Oh, man.
Gosh, look at that stud.
Gosh.
Look at him, dude.
Does he get handsomer every time
Let's
I
ask
see
him to unmute.
Hey, can you unmute yourself, Bobby?
It's in the bottom left-hand corner. 1 second. We keep getting the finger today.
Apparently.
You realize that, Derek? Keep getting the
know,
finger. Not
yeah.
this one. This one.
No, we got to, it's patience.
The index finger.
That's what we have to learn today. Patience.
What an opportunity, guys. That's all these are. No problems in life, only opportunities.
Now his camera's gone.
Now there's no video. That's the wrong way, Mr. Kline.
You took the wrong steps. John's going to hop off and try something real quick. I like it, John.
Jonathan.
Still waiting for you. The mute button.
I feel like I saw his mute button go away for a second. Is he good? Kline, it says you're on.
I don't know if he can hear us.
Can you hear us, dude? Do you hear words coming out of our mouth?
No, he doesn't.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Name that movie. Do you know that movie?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I know it. What is it?
So it said in the first movie, and then in like the second one, Jackie Chan says it. He's like, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?" Man, nobody understands the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Rush Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Let's go, dude.
Apparently, these two animals we had on the podcast today have never used computers before, and that's okay.
Yeah. Hey,
okay.
It's okay. Any other podcasts that they're on, maybe this one the next time, round 2, like they'll know.
Yeah, podcasts are hard, dude. People need to give us more credit.
They are hard.
We've gotten really good at this.
Yeah. I'm excited to figure out how I'm going to do this in France.
Let me text him. Really, I know.
It's a 12-hour difference.
He's putting headphones on.
Oh, yeah. Gamer.
Oh, now it's coming together.
So yeah, he's like, that's it. Here I come.
In the bottom right corner. That's the left corner. I'm going to text John also. Left. If he needs to, he can do it on his phone. You need do it on your phone. Well, how are you doing today, Jimmy? You having a good day?
I'm good, bud. How are you?
We're just doing our best we can here today. Here at the Unshakable Lifestyle LLC. Some days, do I hear Bobby? I swear. Oh, I heard him. Nope. I swear I heard him.
You were onto something really good there, though, Derek. Here at the Unshakable Lifestyle Podcast, we what?
Here at the Unshakable Lifestyle Podcast LLC, we are advocates for patience. We are advocates for
the virtue, not people.
For being calm and.
Well, that's good because I can hear you now. Ha.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is.
A freaking stud.
It would be bad if it was just one of you, but it's even better when it's both of you that have tech problems.
Yeah, so we can talk to either one.
I was so busy being like, man, you look like an idiot right now. You got to hurry up. I didn't even notice. I'm glad.
No worries.
I'm on with Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Look at his angelic freaking light right now, dude.
He looks so good.
He looks good. He's in thought. Look at him.
You just got to you just got to unmute yourself, bud. It's in the bottom left corner somewhere.
There, he's good. He's on. It says he's on.
Yeah, believe me, I
there he is.
Yeah, we're running.
I love it. I love it.
Believe me, I know.
I am
Believe
happy.
me, I know, he says.
I am happy to introduce my good friend Bobby Kline. Bobby is a from hard roots to riches type gentleman. Richer. If you consider being a millionaire in his life, rich, wonderful day. He owns 3 trailer parks. He is a jiu-jitsu master, or trying to be at least. And he is a good friend of all of ours. We have a great time with him.
Amen to that. And then we got Jonathan Combs here, guys. He is a real estate master, knows so much about transaction coordinating, how to make sales, closings. He pretty much knows it all in the real estate industry. He also is a huge advocate of personal development. It's funny. This guy did men's leadership seminar before I did. And I was like the first one of our community to go out to Toronto, Canada to do PSI and like bring it and all that. But freaking Jonathan was like, let me get it all, baby. So just a testimony to how committed he is to like learning how he's showing up for himself and others. And I really appreciate that. And we were talking last podcast, Derrek and I, about like just faith and our circle of friends, like even those that don't have faith, like we are pursuing truth. And Jonathan is a guy that pursues truth. And like, he really wants to understand and like be able to love at another level. So super excited to have you, Jonathan. You are freaking amazing. And here we go.
We did dive pretty deep into that on our last podcast, which is just like how blessed we are to have this circle of people around us, where it's just like we have all these business-minded guys, all these successful guys. I mean, obviously, we're lucky to be around you guys every single week, and it's why we get the opportunity to be successful, because we just have so much fun talking with you guys.
Amen.
We have a million questions for you. We really want to dive deep into business and mindset today. I think you guys are the perfect guys to talk about this with.
Wow.
I just want to get right into it.
Let's just go right in.
Baby.
Before you guys,
real fast, cursing. How do we feel?
Do whatever you want, bud.
Really?
I swear a lot on here today.
Yeah, let's go, boys.
Yes, exactly. This goes in the explicit category on podcasts every single time because of me on accident. But, so we want to dive deep into business, and we're always talking about, like, what are your daily tools to keep yourself motivated in business? What are the things that help you do better? But I think one of the good questions, because we have obviously Bobby here, who has a lot of experience, to ask. Me and Jim were talking about before you guys got on. How do you look at money and business and like the actions you take in business differently now than you did maybe like, 7, 8, 10 years ago when you were starting all this, when you were first buying the trailer parks, when you were doing this stuff? Like is your mindset on how much money you need to make? Is your mindset on like how to be the most sustainable, financially comfortable? Are all these things the same as they used to be?
No, not for me anyway. That's an ever-growing process, man. And what's funny is sometimes it will almost seem like I have to digress in order to progress, if that makes any sense, because sometimes I'll start being like, who cares? We'll throw money at problems and all this and stop really valuing my money, because to me, making money is something that I take for granted sometimes, or at least I have the capability of doing it, right? So for sure, over the course, I've had ups and downs in my career. And for sure, life has come in and humbled me at times and been like, hey, you need to really respect this. But no, I mean, growing up, money was something that was almost evil, unless you had just enough to get by or less than that, money was evil. Which obviously, as we all sitting here know, is bullshit, but that was the belief that I grew up with, right? And then, in my earlier years of making my own money, I really wasn't concerned about growing my wealth at all. It was like, hey, do I have enough money to be able to go out and do this thing with my friends, or, whatever, which is fine for like a teenager, but I carried that well into like my 20s. So it starts becoming an issue along the lines there. But now my relationship with money is, I need a lot of it, because I have a lifestyle that I want to live. And also because I need to be able to take care of anything that has to be solved with money. Right. And that's my responsibility. That's my responsibility to my family. That's my responsibility to my friends. I don't know how in the weeds you want to go on that, but I need a lot of it, but only for the value that it serves and what it can do, if that makes sense.
I have a quick add-on question, which is something that we've talked about off the podcast, but I'd like to hear it maybe more in depthly. Is like, now that you kind of know the lifestyle you want to live, and now that you've done business, so like, there's the sexy part of business, which is the like, wow, this is new and this is crazy and this is exciting, all these things. But now that you've done this enough, like, do you find that maybe your mindset, rather, where we see a lot of the new guys coming into our business groups and spending time with us, they're like, I got to make $10 million and I'm going to grow this massive thing, where now you're just like, if I can build this sustainably to make $250,000 a year, and like, is your mindset leaning more towards something like that now that like, obviously you have your son, you have your family, you have things like that, where it's like, how can I find a way to make this set number in the easiest way possible? Or are you still trying to chase after like the 5 million, the 10 million? Like what do you think about that?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, man. So it's not a straightforward answer, but I think I can explain it. So what I want to do is I want to create sustainable, achievable chunks of money, residual income, that, like, so for example, like if I create something right now with the system that I have in place that generates me $200,000 a year, and that's super sustainable on its own without a lot of input from me, I may want to eventually make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million a year. But as long as that $200,000 keeps going, I can just, we set that, we let it run, and it can put that in. And then, as you guys know, the longer you're in business, man, sometimes shit just falls in your lap. So like I'm really fortunate. I have, like opportunities that come through just by people reaching out to me on social media and stuff like that. People who I know, who I would have never thought, like, oh, hey, they might have a grandma who has a house that needs to go or whatever. And a lot of that stuff will just find me. So for me, realistically, if I can set something up that makes $200,000 a year, I can go do whatever the hell I want. And then also, I'm fortunate in that, at least in the past several years, I've made, and I'm making this number up, but I wouldn't be surprised to learn it's 50 grand a year from just random opportunities that just throw themselves at me. So I would just say, for me, the goal is making everything to where I don't have to live in it, which is really a transition that I'm currently in. But yeah, making everything where you don't have to live in it, because you can always come back and grow it later. So I guess maybe I have a little more patience now than I did at the beginning. But yeah,
it sounds like you only want to build it if it's not comfortable in the sense that you're not willing to be uncomfortable. But it sounds like you're like, I want to chunk it in the way where, like, there's guys who are like, work hard, play hard, work 80 hours a week and grind, but we'll make millions of dollars. Like, it sounds like the way you're describing it, it clicks with me a lot more, which is like we should build this intelligently. Like we should like we shouldn't be going for the million until we have the 100,000 passively coming in comfortably, and then we go to the 200,000, and then we go to the 300,000. Like,
for sure,
chunking it out in the right way.
For sure. And you can absolutely, you can build something that like is this big, amazing thing. But if it takes, if it takes 3 people 40 hours a week to run, and you're trying to run it by yourself, you're going to miss stuff. You're going to go crazy. And even if you make a ton of money, you're going to hate it. That's a realization I've had within the past 12 months or so, because I did that exact thing where I was like, I don't care. I'll work harder than everybody else. It doesn't matter. Like, I have no problem. I'll show up every day. I'll work. I'm only going to take breaks to eat. Like, and I've done that, and that's fine. And I'm actually, I'll put a caveat on this. I'm okay with working 90-hour weeks for like a month at a time if there's a big result at the end, but I'm not going to live in it,
Yeah, that's so well said. It's like working on the business versus in the business. And I noticed there's some people that are close to me. Like I watch them scale so much, and there's so much opportunity there, but they don't have the systems in place and knowing their own numbers to where it'll actually be sustainable. Right. It's like, and then there's still their daily mode of operations is let me get more. Like, no, dude. Like, slow the frick down, get your systems in place, understand your numbers. Now, once you get that, you can bring in more.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough because, it's especially if you come in and you're, you've got that motivation, you've got all that going. And like me, I had a sales background, right? So like for me, getting the deal in sales is all that matters, right? But that's because my sales background was as an employee. So yeah, like I didn't worry about bookkeeping. I didn't worry about paying the utility bill. I didn't worry about, training the staff or anything other than that. I had one job and one job only, and that was to get the deal. And then you come in and you're creating your own business, and man, you can go broke buying good deals. Brandon Turner said that, and it's absolutely true. Like, and I found that in my business, I was just anything I could buy, I would buy it. And then it got to the point where I couldn't keep up with everything, but I was still buying. I was my own worst enemy. So yeah, and it's a trap for the motivated people.
Yeah. I think they talk about this sometimes. They say like in business, there's phases. So there's just like the artistry phase, and then there's the entrepreneur phase. And what people get stuck in is the artistry phase, like the art of what they do, which would be selling or the service, or like for me, like the coaching, the training. You get so stuck in it that when it's time to move to the next phase, which is to run the thing, to be the boss, to be the entrepreneur, they struggle with that thing. And like they try to do both. There's a hybrid phase. They talk about this. What do you think about all this, John?
Yeah, I'm just listening to a lot of what Bobby's saying, and I'm seeing how in my own life that's played itself out, whether in businesses I've been in, or I mean, most particularly emotionally resonating with the stuff that I've been in personally, where it's like, oh, I see where we did exactly the same thing, where we tried to take on more, where we tried to just go, and not stop and figure out what's essential and figure out what really matters. Okay. Hold on.
I love you, Jonathan. You're so awesome.
Come on, bro.
It's because he's in the call, I think.
Oh, look, now it's sideways. What's up, guys? Am I literally vertical? Like
you are definitely literally vertical.
Sideways. Move your camera. Just do a little like this, and then I go back.
No, I literally did nothing. I did nothing, and now it is what it is.
Yeah, go on with what you're saying though. You're making.
I mean, I'm gonna finish.
Look great.
I'm gonna finish like this. So, I think I was about done. But yeah, just hearing what Bobby was saying about like, oh, just more, like as if more deals is gonna solve the systems problem. Like they're different. They're totally different. Like more deals is not gonna solve fulfillment. It's just, I mean, yes, it's great to have deals. Of course, you need deals. That's where the money comes from. How do we actually turn deals into money? That's like, bro, that's like everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna solve my camera problem.
That's beautiful too. Like, I mean, we all understand intention versus mechanism, right? Like how important intention is and how important the mindset is, right? But it's also irresponsible to an extent if we just, there we go. Nice, Jonathan. It's almost irresponsible if we just go intention and continue to build without building systems too. So I think that's really valuable. Well said, guys.
I guess I wonder how much you guys struggled with that at some point. And like for Jim's in obviously the same industry I am, but like it's finding that hard knock line. Because for example, like I was the service, like what I was the salesman and the service, and that's all I was, which is good. It was fun until what built the business. But now I'm shifting over to the entrepreneur phase, but I still have to be service because there's not nearly enough money being made from the business outside of my service. It's being made now, it's growing, but my service absolutely needs to exist for quite a while left of me doing that. But now I have that I have to run, and then I have being the boss and the entrepreneur and running all the things, like running everything, which is like a whole full-time job. And then I have the full-time job of the service, which I was already doing before, which was a full-time job. And now I'm trying to like figure out like I'm trying to find the drop-off point where I switch. Like what I found is that every client that goes over to this pile with my coaches below me, that I'm almost not happy to lose clients, but I am happy to almost see the natural progression of clients finishing their journey and coming off here, and me not refilling my pile and letting the piles over here refill, like fill up. Sure. So I wonder where along that journey is the best point to like fully shift into the entrepreneurship side of things. It's hard.
Yeah, you don't have a crystal ball. You're never going to know that answer of the perfect point to switch here. My advice though would be the same advice that I give myself, for the record. But it would be progress over perfection. So if the goal is, hey, I need to start taking out of this bucket because eventually I want this bucket to be empty, and that's your service or whatever. And I need to start putting more into this bucket. As you move forward, there will be opportunities to do that. So take those opportunities as they come, and don't work against yourself when, like, oh, well, I could take on another client now that I emptied, I passed this one client on to one of my trainers. Now I could take on another client. Well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, but it's also super, for me anyway, that's my nature.
It's so
It's
hard
to be like, hey, I got rid of these problems. Now I can take on more problems.
Right.
Exactly. Especially when the phone rings and you're like, this is money to be made, people to help, things to do. It's so hard to be on the phone with somebody. They're like, I want you to coach me. And I'm like, well, like, I can obviously I've been sending them to my other coaches, but like, it is a difficult narrative to get away from selling myself to selling them to like putting myself into a different role. It's really, really different. Like I said, it's interesting. I wonder, like, I know I'm hopping all over the place, but that's why I like to do that. Like one thing that's always helps me when I get into these struggles is to put my time into like other things, not other things outside the business themselves, but like I find that like when my fitness is right, when my diet's right, when my activity level's right, and all these things, it clears my mind. I can be more smooth. And the question there is like, I know Jonathan's been training hard, and over the last like year or two, he's had his mission through fitness, and Bobby's got this jujitsu thing. Do you believe these things have made you better at business, maybe more calm at business? Me and Jimmy talk about a lot how like those things are such staples for us that like those things are mandatory for us to be good at what we do all the rest of the time. Like, what about you, John?
Yeah, I would say that I'm rediscovering the importance of that, simply because I recently have been through a very difficult time with business stuff. And so just noticing a pattern of like, oh, okay, how easy is it for me personally to get so absorbed in the business stuff, whatever that is, and to allow that to take my mental state and even my activities and things, to allow that to take that all down with it. And just noticing that that's not effective, because I mean, at the end of the day, as far as I know, like whatever is up in here, if I want that to work well, everything else needs to be working well, because it's basically one integrated thing. So it's, in hindsight, it's kind of silly of like, oh, why did I stop exercising as much, or those sorts of things. So I'm honestly just relearning that now, of how important it is to be moving, and then also to add another layer of effectiveness on top of that, to be finding movement, exercise that actually contributes to, let's say, mental well-being. Simply because if I think there's validity to doing something that you hate every single day. There's something to be said for that. Like, and I appreciate guys like David Goggins and those guys, where it's like every day they do something that really sucks. There's a certain amount of truth to that. Also, on the other side of the coin is, what if it actually contributed to enjoyment? So for instance, I play ultimate frisbee with Jimmy, and sometimes Bobby, and I think Derrek went once and never again. But
that's where we met, though.
That's how me and Bobby met. Yeah, I love it.
But that's just one form of a way to do it, to get it in, to get it done. That also makes me happy, it's joyful, it's play, it's competition, it's all these things. So I'm realizing that, hey, not everything has to be hard, not everything has to be miserable, not everything has to suck. There's a place for that, and that's okay. That's not everything, because otherwise I create potentially a miserable life.
I agree. Bobby, I feel that way about jiu-jitsu? Oh, you go first.
I just wanted to go off of what Jonathan was saying real quick, and I'd love to hear what Bobby has to say about this. But Jonathan, one thing that I think is so cool, like I know that right now you're in a rediscovery phase and like figuring out what the frick is next. And I think this will be a good podcast to like, that's so valid, by the way. You know how many other people are like going through that right now, and how valuable this will be for them? Because yeah, like not everything is like success. So this is perfect. I'm so glad. Like, you are invaluable, bro. Just want to let you know that. And also to say this too, like you bringing up ultimate frisbee, one word, consistency. Bro, Jonathan, like you've been playing with us for a long time. Every week, bro. I know I'm going to be there. But there's another person I know will always be there, and it's you. If you're available, if you can go, you are there. And guess what, bro? Your endurance, dude. What the frick, bro? Like soaring. And I remember some other people have come out and they're like dying after like 3 plays, because we hustle, bro. We hustle. But you, Jonathan, you are not phased. Why? Because you freaking come every week. You come every week and you push yourself. And that right there, bro, has reaped crazy results. Like the last game we played at Mateo Park, bro, there were some people dying, but how many of us were so amazing, because we've all been coming pretty consistently. That was a freaking freak show of like crazy plays, crazy like moments, only because we all keep choosing to show up. So I just wanted to give you some praise on that, bro. Like you're doing some things right, and it's just sharpening and figuring out what were the things that we did in business that messed up to where I can change my standards and show up in a better way and reap what's next. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
I want to dive deep into Jonathan, but before we move on from the subject, Bobby, you've been doing jujitsu, and I wonder, like, similar to what Jonathan says, like, it's fun, it's entertaining for you, but also there's this background, and I know Jimmy finds it in wrestling. I don't actually have a lot of this specific background, but you're finding with jujitsu is this like martial arts, self-defense, whatever you want to call that category. There's so much science and there's so much stuff on like the discipline it brings, the mindset it brings, like this powerful nature, like a good powerful nature it brings to you. And like, how are you feeling that from that? And like, is it benefiting your business, benefiting you like mentally every day? Like, how do you feel about that?
Come on, Bobby.
Yeah. So I couldn't possibly begin to describe how good it has been for my mental health. To say I'm obsessed is not an exaggeration. And it has so little to do with being like, I want to be able to beat people up. And it has so much to do with the fact of, and wrestling, for example, or I'll just say this, wrestling is the crazy fit guys version of jujitsu, right? Like, so wrestling is so intense. Basically, Jimmy and I wrestled, and we did like, well, really, it's technically jujitsu because we were trying to submit each other, but his just wrestling background, he beat the shit out of me.
I love you.
But anyway, no, it's really incredible. Because first of all, you're getting your blood pumping, which is, just you need to get your blood pumping every day, which is something I neglected for a good long time. So I got out of the military, and then, when I was in the military, I was exercising in the military. And then also I was the person who we'd get off work and then we'd go on a 6-mile run or something like that. I lived that lifestyle, right? I loved it. And then I got out of the military and then just stopped entirely. I started building my business right after I got out of the military, and that became my new obsession, and I let it go. So really until about a year ago when I started doing jiu-jitsu again, that's the first time that I've consistently been doing something that gets your blood pumping. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know, ultimate frisbee sounds dumb and jiu-jitsu sounds tough, whatever, go take your dog for a vigorous walk once a day or something. Like anything that's getting your blood pumping. Even if you never make any more money in your life, who cares? You're happier. But no, I think jiu-jitsu specifically, there's something amazing about it. First of all, it's extremely honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, so when I talk about like me and Jimmy rolled and he beat me, I cannot pretend like I'm better than Jimmy. There's no way, right? It keeps you so humble and so honest. And you have that experience with other people. There are guys who are 10 years older than me and 50 pounds fatter than me, and they can whoop my ass. And that sucks. It's humbling, but like, it's a very fucking honest thing. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because you can't bullshit. It also does a couple of other great things. So you're going to be in like uncomfortable positions sometimes. And while you're in uncomfortable positions, when you first start out, you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And you you start like freaking out a little bit. Even if you're not actually freaking out, you're just like, I don't know what to do. And your head's not clear. Man, I can now, like after a year or so of training, you can have me in a rear naked choke and be choking me out, and I'm calm as a freaking cucumber, and I'm just working the hands, doing all that stuff. And it doesn't mean I'm going to be successful, but that calm under pressure is something amazing. I also think any of the martial arts really, they ignite your fight or flight reflexes, because when somebody is, even if they're not actually going to hurt you, they ignite those reflexes in your body. I think that's a great thing. Just like cold plunge, make sure like, your cold shock proteins come out and all that stuff. I think there's something important about getting that fight or flight activated. So, I'm a big believer in that. I always believed that any type of exercise would be helpful, but now actually experiencing it, I think it's helpful both to me mentally, which helps me with my business, But also, like I said, if I never made an extra dollar, I'm a happier person for having that in my life.
Man, dude, I love that so much too, because just the fight or flight, the reaction. And if you go to jiu-jitsu and you don't know what you're doing, I would just highly recommend like knowing who you're going with. When you go.
Yeah. Go to a reputable school. I mean, if you're here local, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is where I go. You're going to be welcomed with open arms. Nobody's going to beat you up. Jonathan came out and experienced it with us. I think it's fair to say nobody was trying to murder you, right, Jonathan?
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah. You want to go somewhere where the people want to help you.
Amen. And well, beyond that too, though, like, so once you do find that, that's great. Then you can find someone like Anton who will murder you. Like he wants to murder you. And it's perfect because like I'm like 184 pounds. I weigh 190 now, glory to God, because I'm chasing the next best thing. My goal is to get to 200. But Anton is a big mother father. Like he's like heavy. He's like 280. All right. He's way bigger than me. And so whenever I go with him, bro, like he doesn't take it easy on me. He goes hard. And so what was awesome is I remember the moments where he had his knee in my neck. He had his knee in my diaphragm. He like was murdering me. But it was in those moments, I know what he was doing as a teacher was like, what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about it? Because I'll kill you. Right. And like in those moments, like I had to like either like cry about it or freaking like fight back. Right. Are you going to fight back? And dude, in that moment, I learned the wrong way to fight back by turning a certain way and then getting choked out or armbarred or whatever it was. And then I learned the right way. And I learned how to take my wrestling submission and position, pressure to the position before the submission. Bro, now I can hang with Anton, right? But it took that hardship. And I don't know if he does that with everybody. He might have just done it with me because he knew that's what I needed, right?
Yeah.
Like I needed to get beat up a little bit. And that was what those reactions, just like the cold shock proteins, just like the cold plunge, the saunas, like there's hardship in there. And it's right there at that hardship where it's going to define who you are and what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I'll add a little background for anybody listening. Jimmy was a Division I wrestler. He was not a first day student and like somebody's putting their knee on his neck and all that stuff.
Yes, okay.
He already knew how to handle himself, had years of experience before that. So don't think that that's like what's going to happen to you if you show up.
They're all scared
Amen.
to go now.
Amen.
Yeah, it draws back to the question, which I'm not saying anyone here has the direct answer to, but it's like we talk about fasting because humans used to do fasting. We talk about how we should move and get fit because humans used to move so much. We weren't sedentary, and like the styles of eating we should eat meat based and animal based because that's how our ancestors used to eat. We talk about all these things and all the benefits that come, and you see them when people do it. And you talk about the fight or flight thing, and it's like I think that was something that we lived on a daily basis. Like our body is meant to feel that reaction, which I think we all feel. The difference is that we feel it from like anxiety. We feel it from like, the fake lion in the room. Really, it's like you're paying attention to your breathing or like whatever the thing is. But I think actually putting yourself into real, legit fight or flight situations, obviously within a safe realm, jiu-jitsu, like no one's actually going to kill you, like I said, but actually like getting those to fire, but actually putting yourself into the fight mode and actually putting yourself through it, like has to release and create something in your brain that's so powerful. Cause it's a part of our anatomy, part of our brain, part of everything that we are meant to do and be badass about. And most people are on the couch, like having panic attacks because like they feel their heart rate a little off. Yeah. So like, I think there's something there.
Yeah. I would say there's a lot of neurotransmitters and different endorphins that are literally vacant to an extent because we are all so blessed and beautifully comfortable that like we don't have to be in that state. So it's like finding different ways to put yourself in those states to define like, okay, what is the hard that you're going to choose, right? Are you going to choose the hard for not showing up and not finding anything hard for yourself? Well, there's other hard things that are going to come from that. So I just love that we have the opportunity to have this chess match with jiu-jitsu or this long enduring monster battle of ultimate frisbee to where it's like, dude, like, and it's so cool too. Like there's so many minutia little things that like allow you to level up. Like you don't have a flick in ultimate frisbee. And I know that, dude, like it's going to suck a little bit the first few games until you get it down. Cause I'm going to defend you on one side and that just sucks.
Yeah. And another thing that I found that translates with, for me, it's always going to go back to jujitsu, but really with everything, right? So is that a lot of times to get better, you have to get worse first, which sounds, I don't like things that just sound catchy. So like people say them because a lot of times I'm like, that's bullshit. But that one's
elaborate
really
on it. Yeah.
So like with ultimate frisbee, if you don't have a good flick, right? Well, then what do you have to do? You have to flick more. And
which is the
where
worst
are you going to learn how to flick in game?
Mm-hmm.
In game, right? You have to do it in game because it's not the same as standing there with nobody guarding you and all that stuff. And you're going to screw it up. Inevitably, you are going to screw it up multiple times. And then you're going to get it right. And then you're going to screw it up again. And you're going to be so frustrated because you're like, I know I had it. Like, what is going on here? And then you're going to do it right. But quick arm Jimmy over here is going to jump in front of it or something crazy and that you didn't even like anticipate. And then you got to address that. And jiu-jitsu's the same way, right? Amen. Like you want to add a new move to your arsenal. You're going to suck at it, but you got to get out there and try it. And then somebody's going to take your back and they're going to choke you out and you're going to tap and you're going to realize they could have killed you if they wanted to. But that translates so well to business too, because you're going to suck. You're going to screw stuff up. You can read every book in the world. Nothing replaces real life experience. I'm a giant promoter of education, by the way. I'm like self-education, read books, do all that stuff. I'm not trying to take any value away from that. But like that translates so well into business. Like you like if you want to flip a house, right? You can read every book in the world on flipping houses and you're going to screw it up at some point. You're going to make mistakes. And even after you're really good, you're going to make mistakes sometimes. Right. You know, I know you guys have had Dakota on the podcast before. I'm not sure if you've had Tony yet. But you know, they run LTD, which is one of the biggest flipping companies here in Fort Wayne. They do a lot of stuff, but one of the things they do is flip houses. And they're very open about it. Like that, hey, no, we made mistakes. I remember like last year, they were like, no, we lost like $40,000 on this flip. And they are experts. As far as I'm concerned, they are experts.
Amen.
And they're still making mistakes, right? And I think that's something that translates really well from almost any physical activity into business.
Yeah. And look at this too, like Bobby, Jonathan, and Derek, like that's where so many of us sometimes nobody even gets into the education mode. So start that, right? Get in the education mode. Be willing. I love that phrase, bro. Like you have to like do worse to do better. That's perfect. Yeah. So like get into the education mode and like realize that that's going to take time. Like I literally just I've got a wrestler that's in high school that's doing metacognition sessions. Like we literally realized on one of his B5s, we're going to do some personal development on like reading each day. And he's like, maybe 30 minutes. I was like, 30 minutes? Like, let's look at your craziest day. You're not going to do that. Right? Let's do 5 minutes. And then I literally tested him on how fast he could read. And then he realized like he could read 3 pages in 4 minutes. I was like, oh, wow. What could you? And then I was like, what did you learn from these 3 pages? And it was this freaking book. He learned so much just from that. I was like, what if you did that every day, bro? And he was just like, but that's awesome. That's what's so cool too. Like you're talking about here is like, we have the opportunity to like go forward and put ourselves in situations because it's education, sometimes education versus execution.
Jimmy, can I ask you a question? I know it's your podcast, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. I want to turn it on you and Derek also. You guys are both super busy guys. You guys obviously still manage to, you know, get it in terms of the gym. You guys are both married. From what I can tell, you guys seem to have good relationships. So what I've always struggled with that I'm really just now in the past year or so starting to make noticeable progress with is I'm such an all or nothing person. And that is stupid. Like it is. It's a natural thing for some people, but it's dumb, right? You have to have some moderation. You have to be able to be like, I can't do 30 minutes of reading, but I can do 5. And so how do you guys, who I consider successful, How do you guys regulate that? And Jonathan, you can chime in too, because this is a totally selfish question. I genuinely want to hear your guys' answers.
Very valuable. Derek, start us off, man, because I think like with your tattoo saying 100% or nothing, like this has been a huge testimony for you of like how you have figured out more of, not all of it, but more of this relationship.
I love it. I love it. I think I got 100% or nothing tattooed on my arm. I still believe that's my natural mindset, but I do have to fight against that. I think like learning that, 70% is way more powerful than 100%. But so yeah, like I said, my best thing there, and I know it's so boring. Like I'd love to give like some sexy answer. Like, here's this amazing thing I do. I have a schedule book and I like die by my schedule book, and I put non-business things in my schedule book. So like I schedule time with my wife. I schedule time with like date night. I schedule a time with my friends. I schedule my meetings, my business, everything, down to the point where I schedule in like 15-minute blocks sometimes. And not on I don't do it on like my phone or anything like that. For some reason, I always find I can't stick to it that well with it. I have like a paper schedule book I fill out and I track everything with. That's been super incremental for me. And then I think there is something to like being 100% at just the thing you're doing, but understanding like how to time duration that thing. So like if I'm working on client work, I'm 100% working on client work. I'm not working on client work and playing on my phone and doing like 4 things. I'm doing client work. And like when I'm doing meetings with my coaches, my phone's in the other room. Like when I'm trying to spend time with my wife on a date night, my phone stays in my coat. You know what I mean? It doesn't come out, like little stuff like that. So I think like scheduling things really, really right. And then making sure like I'm attentive, because I think a lot of people go through life and like, you can mean it in a lot of different factors, but I think in life, like something that'll make you better in marriage, something that'll make you better is like, there's listening to say, and then there's listening, and then there's listening to hear. And like, I think, and they can vary in like, not just listening, but other things in life. It's just like living actively. Like everything I do, I am actively and attentively doing. I don't like try to like, I'm not blurring through anything. Like when I'm doing something, I'm there, I'm present, I'm doing my thing. And I think having a schedule makes it easier for me. Cause like, if I don't have a schedule, then when I'm doing something, I'm like, oh, what are the 8 other things I need to be doing? But like when I have a schedule, I know, nope. I know those are in here. I know there's a place for those, and that will come. This is exactly what I'll be doing. Even if someone didn't run a business and they're listening to this, or like you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life, like get a damn schedule, put it in the schedule. Like I will put like my 1-hour walk with my audiobook in my schedule, because like it makes me effective at getting it done. And then I don't have to be like, I never have the excuse where I'm like, oh, I'll get it done later. Now I got to do this thing. I'll get it done later. No, I'm doing it right now. Like, cause this is when I need to get it done.
Love that.
What about you, Jimbo?
Dude, I love that. So one thing that when I was in Rousel, New Mexico, I've done a few sessions out here, but it's scheduling. Literally, like it's a metacognition session. And like there are literally in your schedule, it's called window of opportunity, not the freaking anabolic window, okay? But windows of opportunity that you want to, amen, that you want to put into your schedule, like to where things can change and that you can pursue. If you understand the verbiage that we talk about is B5, right? So 5 things that you're going to do every single day that will change your life and change your beingness on how you do things. So like, to answer the question here, Bobby, like we were talking about education mode versus execution mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't always want one or the other, right? It's really good to have both, really. And there is a way to do that each day. And what I would say is like the best analogy is a tree. So like if I want to go take out this tree, like if there's not this crazy schedule that has to be done today, like there's no schedule to it, but it's actually like a personal development standard thing to where trees need to keep on following for you to grow and like build this place. So when I look at the tree, 100% or nothing would literally be, you're going to go out there and give all the motherfucking swings you can give, right? You're going to sharpen the axe a bit first, educate a little bit, figure out the swing, and then you're going to go 2,000 swings in a day, baby, right? And now what? You're out for 4 days because you tore your bicep. You've got bicep tendonitis now. Your shoulder's kind of messed up, rotator cuff, all that type of stuff. So that's what 100% does a lot of times. Now, what if instead we change the whole relationship and it's not 100%, it's actually 5 swings, right? You sharpened your axe, you've learned how to swing, you do everything you can, and then it's 5 swings. Boom. The best motherfucking 5 swings you could ever give. Hit that motherfather, right? You hit it so good, and then you put it down and you go on to the next thing. You go and do the other things in your life. You restrict yourself to 5 swings every day. Same thing with the 5 minutes of reading, right? Not 30, not an hour, bro. Just get the 5, right? And then as you continue to do that, that allows you to really like go into the next time and like build from that. And so as I like look at your question too, like how do we successfully do those things? So for me, it's almost learning the balance between how can I love each thing along the way. So with my wife, that's a relationship that is so beautiful. Like we check in every week. Like, okay, we're 9 out of 10 right now. That's where we're at. 9 out of 10. And my opportunity is to get it to a 10 out of 10 and then chase the next 10. Right? It's never done ever. So it's like one thing that we've refined is our date nights. Our date nights were like doing like random things. It was fun. It's still like isolated to her and I'm being where my feet are. But now actually, dude, we're going to start going on like into nature and just being. Because that's what we've realized that we need together. So that's just an example of like the education and execution mode is like, I could have just kept doing Wednesday nights date night,
Sure.
but I also have to check in and like, see how is this effective? Because there's effective and more effective. It's not right or wrong. It's just, how can I make this more effective? So I would say that that's the constant opportunity is like figuring out like my B5, did I make a deep connection this week? Did I call grandma? Did I call my dad? Did I call grandma clear out in Newfoundland, Canada and check on her? Like that's every day. Like whoever the deep connection is, it could be one of you guys too. That's a deep connection. There's not a time limit on it, but we have a significant conversation. So I just say like, that's where I'm living on purpose. And then if I'm living on mission is where I'm getting all the task stuff done. And that's where the scheduling comes out. Like literally like putting in my golf balls for the day. The big golf balls is kind of like that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the jar.
Yeah, the jar. Yeah.
Put in the freaking golf balls first, and then you can put in the sand, right? Versus the sand first and then the golf balls. So identify your golf balls the night before and like see what are these things that I am going to tackle. Not try. I'm going to, right? I'm going to tackle these things. And I also will be realistic. I'm going to get like 40% of it done today. Documentation is a great example for me. Mother, father, like that is the death of so many therapists because the EMR system sucks usually. So I will be realistic. I'm going to get 40% of my documentation done today. And then I'm going to tackle this golf ball, this golf ball, this golf ball, and this coaching call, and this, and that. Then I'll make sure that the B5 happens in these little slots of the windows of opportunity. So I don't know. That was a very drawn out answer, but I think it was a beautiful loaded question too. So
I think worth adding here, I know before we move on, but like worth noting, and I love the compliment, but like, and I'm saying all these cool stuff like schedule and actively being there.
Don't have it figured out.
I suck at all this stuff too.
Yep.
I do. Like, I'm so like, dude, just genuine honesty, man. Like, and my clients know it about me. People know it about me. Like it's not because of lack of effort. It's not because of lack of schedule, but like, for example, I've worked out one time this week, one time. And then like, I literally scheduled in my workout. And then the one day my CPA calls me, he's like, you got to come out here for a meeting. I'm like, oh, okay. Again, I missed my workout today. And then like, the next day I had a meeting with like a magazine advertising company for something we were looking to do. And it's like, and then they moved that meeting and I had my workout. I was planning on being here. It ruined it. And then I think like, this is the value of like, I think this goes to investing. This goes to things like building things up enough that you can do them passively. For example, like I mean this unarrogantly, but I could work out once a week and I'll probably be more muscular than most people. And that's because not just because anyone can do that. It's because I actively work my ass off for like 10 years. Doing the same thing with my marriage. Like, you know, I miss things, I screw up, I do bad, but I have like such a buildup of like 10 years of me whooping ass as a good husband that when I fuck up, like it's not like a big detriment. Like so I think there's value in those things. Like there's seasons for everything. And there's seasons where I'm an incredible husband. And there's a season where I'm a busy man. And then there's seasons where I've crushed working out like to an extreme degree to the point where like I've ripped most muscles in my body to like now, like there's weeks where I get one workout in and I'm disappointed by it, but I don't necessarily like, it doesn't change the way I look or anything like that. It's more just up here. So I think like, and whether it's investing, whether it's fitness, with all these things, I think that's like one just being realistic and schedule and all the things we said, but also like it should be a motivating factor to get these things done. Because for example, like you, Bobby, with jiu-jitsu, like you could probably keep doing this for the next 2 years. You're going to get like a black belt or a blue belt, whatever you'll be at in 2 years. and you could probably only do it for one time a week and maintain. You might not get better, but you could maintain. And I think there is benefits in life to getting things to a place where they are maintainable.
Well, look at this pursuit of balance too. Like, so it's funny that you say that too, Derek, because like we're not perfect. Like we don't have it all figured out, right? We're always working at it, and that's how it always be. Yeah, like we don't. Like, dude, I missed this flossing, bro. I did not freaking floss this whole week. Even after my dentist appointment, realizing, bro, I got to get it. These vitamin teeth, bro. Like, got to get on that freaking like retainer thing.
I don't think I've flossed my entire life.
So, okay. But for me, like that was something that I realized that I need to be doing. And I kept doing like all the things. I did great with all the scheduling and the B5 and everything else. And then I got to the point where it was nighttime. It's like 10:30 at freaking night. I'm tired. I got to get the rest. Which one, flossing or sleep? But then again, too, it's like 3 more minutes. Floss. So it's like, really, though, this week I didn't show up in that realm. And now it's to have mercy and grace for myself and be like, bro, it's okay. His mercies are made new every morning. I'm going to freaking tackle the rest of the day.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that is that specific, the last point that you made there, that's an area that I've really been trying to work on, showing up with grace to myself, because like I know there's a very lazy version of me, right? Like there is a version of me that was a fucking shitbag for a long time.
I love
so
it.
Like I've got this inner bitch that I'm constantly battling with, it feels like to me, because and that's why I am so all or nothing. And trust me, I've done the nothing plenty of times, right? So it's tough for me when I start missing goals, especially small attainable goals, like what you're talking about, like flossing or whatever. It's tough for me to be like, you're okay. I'm like, am I okay? Because like, that was pretty easy. Like
I do see so often that like the all or nothing thing, like I see it in clients, I see it in everybody, and you talk about you, like you have that too. I think everybody has that. They don't realize it. I always say like what you do in one thing, you do in all things. Like you don't usually see someone crush their diet and crush their workout and then like be a piece of shit at work. Like you almost always see like people flowing through everything with care or throwing through. Like, and I do it myself. Like I literally have had, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I told when we got done with the fast, and like I just was like a piece of crap all week. I really was. Like I ate horrible and just purposefully, almost like I was just gluttonous.
Really?
And I was lazy and I was like sitting on my butt. I've been doing this thing lately. It's been killing me. There's a word for it, but it's called like overwork bedtime procrastination. It's an actual thing, but it's like where like basically because I worked like 13, 14-hour days a lot of the time, and I work so much, what I'll do is I'll stay up later than I know I should to like try to attain some freedom. Like, I still got my time in, and then I end up hurting myself the next day. So it's like, I think like we can always find ways to like be nothing, and we can always find ways to be 100. But I think like we said, that middle ground, I am curious, obviously for Jonathan, I think you're a really good spectacle for this question. It's like, we talked to Bobby and we're like, hey, you're like here right now, and like you're figuring out how to make here work better, because like it seems like you built up here, Bobby, but there was lots of like structural issues along the way, and now you're like putting the real trusses in, and you're putting the steel beams in, and you're making this thing awesome. But now John, on the other hand, where he's had highs and lows and all these things, and he's so educated on some of these things we're talking about, that you hear like these people at the top on their like Instagrams and stuff talking about. John is an animal at those things, but John is starting over right now. So like, for example, like as you start over, like one thing I've heard you talking about so often is like just trying, like basically in my words, not yours, like build this foundation so solid and well, like instead of building the rickety building out of wood and then later trying to like cast it in concrete, like building it in concrete to start with. How to go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you encapsulated where I'm at well. So I noticed myself as a person who, let's say that I saw a bunch of people with structures that I thought were cool. If we're going to use that building analogy, it's like, oh, that's cool. So then I just throw one together ASAP, like build as quickly as possible. And as you can imagine, like I think it's literally one of the proverbs in the Bible, thousands of years old, like, hey, if you build this thing on sand, it's going to just get washed away with the next whatever storm. And so, yes, I notice now, particularly when I'm at a time where a storm has collapsed yet another of my structures, it's like, okay, yeah. So it's interesting. Like, okay, if I'm going to build my next building, am I going to build it on the sand? And at this time where I am more or less starting over, it's like, no, like I'm really seriously not going to do that again to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And I know that overanalysis leads to doing nothing. And of course, I mean, when you said, when Bobby said, oh yeah, I've been nothing plenty, it's like, yeah, same here. I've definitely spent a lot of time just being nothing, more or less, out of fear, out of anxiety, out of whatever, just those sorts of things. So now it's not the space that I'm making for myself is to be intentional about building a foundation made out of like super solid concrete that goes super deep. Because I know based on previous results that if I just build another building because I think that I need to have one and it's built on a foundation that's not legit, then it's gonna fall down. It's gonna collapse. It's only a matter of time, whether it's a year or a couple years or whatever. It just is. And so like at this point, I'm actually going through a lot of I would say my ego is getting smacked around because I see so many friends in my life who like I'm close to and I love dearly and have great relationships with, who do have at least what appear to be great buildings on great foundations. And so like it hurts my ego to be like, oh, I don't get to have that today. And that's honestly okay. Like that actually makes me excited because like to me, that is an indicator that like, okay, now I'm actually for real this time, because like I'm not gonna just go out and get some inflatable building that looks cool that if you get too close to it, you realize it's not really anything legitimate. It's like, no, I'm actually willing to the best of my capability to release whatever it is that I think that I should be or what other people think that I should be, or like try to create something that looks good to other people. Like I'm really actively just getting rid of all that as quickly and as consistently as possible, because I know that if I build my life forward from here based on a foundation that is not solid, not grounded in truth. I don't know if my truth is the right word. The truth, that's pretty cool too. But like built on real stuff that matters. It's essential. It's important. It's like it's real. So it's very important to me right now in this stage where I am basically like more or less starting fresh, that I build on that solid foundation.
Jonathan, dude, hold on real quick.
Go ahead.
Like that is so beautiful. And what you said earlier too, Derek, this is all going to go together. Like release whatever I need to. That is literally going right into a technique called experiential modality structuring. So like what I want you to do, Jonathan, and if you're open to it, is like remember everything, all the modalities that you're experiencing right now. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, like what you feel, right? Like remember that. Lock it the frick in, right? Because that's what I thought too. Like when Derek, you said earlier, like after our fast, you said that you became gluttonous. And like I realized that too. Like, why do I still brush my freaking teeth and floss and like put hydrogen peroxide once a week? Like all these little things that don't matter but really matter, right? Like why do I do that? Because I freaking go back to the pain that taught me. I go back to all of the modalities of the braces for 5 flipping freaking years, the headgear, the Herbst, the hydraulics in my freaking mouth, right? I go back to that and I remember, dude, like the things that I saw, the things that I felt, the things like, why did I do that? Now that I remember that, it brings me back to the why, and then I'm going to floss. I'm going to brush my freaking teeth, right? I'm going to do all these things. So it's like same thing with the fast. Like, dude, I really did this experiential structuring of the modalities with that fast and how much it freaking sucked. Like I'm standing in the shower, I'm starving on day 3 and I'm talking to God like, bro, you did 40 days and 40 nights. You're amazing. This still sucks. Right. And so like when I felt all that, then I put myself into an opportunity and I messed up too. Like Kent, it's his freaking birthday and he wants to celebrate by eating these stupid bitch ass cookies, right? And like, Lord forgive me, but I'm like, dude, gosh, yes, I'll have a bite for you. So I had the bite, and as soon as I had the bite, I was like, dude, you did so much work, 6 days of work, 3 hard freaking days of work to like get your body into this autophagy and all these things. And then you had this bite of something for somebody's birthday. Like, hey, can you have a cigarette for my birthday? Like, no. Right. And I had a conversation with him afterwards too, just saying like, hey buddy, I'm gonna let you know in the future, like I love you so much, but I'm never gonna do that again.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just think that type of like experiential modality structuring can help us all to remember why. Just remember the why. That's like the destination that'll keep you not looking back and going back to. You'll keep looking at where you're going.
Yeah. I think a lot of times too, like you're talking about the sand round foundation versus like the concrete foundation. And I think that like, I think a lot of people see the concrete foundation and they want it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have it. I get it, but it's like, it is the harder of the things, especially when you're like back before we had our group and back before we had the people, like I talk about openly, like how, Hercules didn't make a dime for like 6 years. Like I was doing this, working hard for like 6 years, not making money. And like, you want to talk about feeling a failure, like when you literally show up at family events and people are like, so you go to the gym, you stop doing construction. That's what you're going to do with your life. Like, do you want to be a failure? Like when you have that sort of thing, but I do think you're blessed, Jonathan, in the sense that you have like a lot of people around you that can help you pour that concrete. So it will be faster. It will be faster than maybe someone who had to pour that concrete by themselves. And that's not to say that your effort won't matter, but it's also interesting for you to hear, like you so often say things about your lack of worth, and you so often say things like you've been like right now, you just said that, I've been nothing many times in my life. I've heard you say these things, and I know you in
so
my
much.
life, we all have in our life, but sometimes you say them even in like present tense. But you're also the guy that like every friend gathering we have actually shows up and like eats his steak, doesn't go off his diet, like stays on his diet. And like you're also the guy that has like massive discipline that other people don't have. So it's like, I think we talk about a lot that like if you base like a fish's intelligence on its ability to climb a tree, like fun little quote, but like they're not going to feel good. But I think sometimes like you're just looking at the wrong light. Like you have more self-education done, paid for, and like spent time into than almost anybody I've ever met in my entire life. And we are surrounded by self-educated people, like going to these conferences and things like that. And then like you also have really good discipline. It's just like there's like a balance issue there. So it's like if you can just like use the people around us to rebuild your concrete and just maximize that balance, like things are going to fly. I think like it's like what is it like when I love this quote. I'm actually thinking about getting it tattooed on my arm too. I like these things on my body, but it's heavy wears the crown. Heavy is the crown. But it's like, it's the truth. It's like, people look at the concrete structures, they look at these things, but to get these things, to get the crown, to get these things that are actually like pretty and valuable, fuck, it sucks sometimes.
That's beautiful.
And that's like not to give like an unmotivated statement. I'm not talking you out of doing it. Obviously we have a great group and you have the mindset to do it, but just for people watching, when you're on this path, I'm not talking you out of doing it, but I think it's just good to understand that like people build things in sand because it's fast and easy. They want the result, but they don't want to sacrifice for 4 or 5 years. They just want the result. So like maybe focus on getting the 4 or 5 years done, or the 2 or 3 or the 1 year or whatever you're going to put into it, and then start thinking about like the crown, if that makes sense.
Amen. Yeah, I feel like we've talked about some deep stuff, and I want to hear what Bobby has to say about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it feels lonely when you're the only one admitting that you're in the sand still. But like that's a thing I've gone through. I've been very open with you guys, and I don't mind talking about it on the podcast. Yeah. My business at the beginning of the year, we took it back over from a property management company, and like all my rentals, and they had wildly mismanaged it. They didn't do anything directly like deceitful, like they weren't taking money or anything, but they put in no effort. They got their check each month. My business, they took over north of 50 units, so taking just their 10% fee each month, they were taking a good chunk of money, and they were doing literally nothing other than being like, oh, they paid, they didn't pay, but they weren't tracking down rents, they weren't letting me know. And I because it is my fault, because it's my responsibility. And more important than that, more important than it's my responsibility to make the money, it's my responsibility to make sure that the people who have invested in me over the years, whether it's actually financially, like buying the deals, and because I use private money lenders for almost everything, whether it's them or the people who have invested in me in terms of teaching me, educating me, motivating me, and all that stuff. It's my responsibility to make sure that that return is realized. Even if that return is just me being successful, I have an obligation to every man on this podcast right now to be successful. And that's because you guys have donated your time to helping me. Just like I try to pour back into you guys. We all have an obligation to each other. And I say successful, not rich, but yeah, part of that is the financial component, right? And it was mismanaged. And so I got this back at the beginning of the year. Obviously, anybody who's been in real estate knows that being a house flipper and things of that nature are not as great as they used to be. So we have like the economy kind of doing some switches. Then I have, of the 50 some odd units that I sent to these people, it comes back with like a 40% vacancy rate that I didn't even notice, because I was just like, oh, the checks were small this month, I don't know, but I'm over here doing X, Y, and Z, and partially just being lazy because I don't want to be on a computer. I hate sitting at a computer and looking over numbers and going into the weeds, with like tracking things and all that. For me, that's a super heavy thing, right? So I allowed myself to just be lazy. And then, it comes back and like all of a sudden the backbone of my company is losing money. And all of my auxiliary income sources are drying up at the same time. And, and shit hit the fan. And I was, I talked about it in our little coffee group, it's just, shit was fucking bad. And we're talking about like 4 months ago, guys. This is not ancient history by any means. And I felt so lonely, especially at first, because I was so scared to tell people who you guys are not going to judge me harshly. You guys might be like, hey, dude, you need to get your shit together. But you guys are not going to judge me harshly. But I was so lonely because I was so scared, because what was my value if I wasn't running a successful company, right? And the truth is my value was lower because I wasn't putting in the work that was required. It had nothing to do with money, but my value, I believe, truly was lower because I wasn't doing the things that I should be doing. But I guarantee you there are people listening to this podcast who absolutely are in similar situations, and maybe it's not identical to mine. Maybe it's not identical to Jonathan's, but there's a lot of people out there who are like, I'm a fucking fake. Like everybody's going to know it. All the shit's about to hit the fan. And that's how I felt. And I was like, I'm going to have to switch careers. I'm going to have to get a fucking job. How am I going to justify to my investor friends when I'm out there fucking delivering pizzas? I'm going through all this, and obviously, and it's mostly corrected at this point. Thankfully, I had to switch up my strategy with my entire company. And because I was like, I don't have the money to fix up these fucking units. I don't have the time. I had to take out a loan just to keep my company afloat. And I was like, and now I'm going further into debt and upping our expenses while we're still not making money. So we had to do some transitions, and thankfully I wouldn't say we're entirely on the other side of it, but we're certainly, we're profitable again. Things are definitely running a lot better now, but, and that's the only reason I'm comfortable talking about it now. If I'm being honest, if I was still in the shit, it would be a lot more challenging, but I think it's really admirable to like say, hey, I've been in the sand. I'm kind of living in the sand. Let's stop it. And I think there's a lot of people that need to hear that message.
Amen, bro.
I agree.
That's beautiful.
I think that's perfect. I think that kind of leads right into, like I said, our final questions of the day. And I'm going to ask a question I've asked before, but I just love getting people's perspective on it. Me and Jimmy will try to give some different answers. But, we're talking about these people that are in the sand. We're talking about these people who are trying to get self-development. We're trying to like get better. And I always lean back to books. I think books are so powerful in self-development and, helping yourself get better. So I want to go around and said, the question is for each one of us is, what are the 3 books for anybody who is in the sand? 3 books for anybody, or just your books you'd recommend to everybody that you think are going to be the most powerful. And I'll start. My favorite books right now, they're different already than the books I named last time, because I've been rereading old books and they're powerful, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think every human should read that book. It is just so good. Power, the 48 Rules of Power is a phenomenal book. And the last one is the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Shit. And it might be fuck. I don't know what it is. It's just like
fuck.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. I gotta decline this call. There we go. Beautiful. What do you think, Jonathan?
I'm actually in light of, so I read this book called Essentialism, or just finished it, and in light of that, I'm only going to recommend the book Essentialism for anybody who is in the sand. Actually, anybody at any time, particularly when someone finds themselves once again amongst collapsed rubble of what they thought their life was. That's a really good book, Essentialism by George McKeown, simply because it's basically in the name. It talks about, okay, what does it mean to get down to what is essential, and then focus on that entirely. So there you go.
I like it. Bobby?
All right. So, man, so this is tough to go to 3. So I'm going to try to steer clear of specific to real estate books, because there's some amazing real estate books. But I think whatever you're going to do in life, even if making money is the lowest priority for you, sales is what life comes back to. And so the best sales book I've ever read is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It is, first of all, it's a fun read. Like, it's not boring. He was a CIA hostage negotiator, or I'm sorry, FBI hostage negotiator. And he tells stories about that. It's a super fun read. It's very to the point, and you can't read or listen to that book and not be a better salesperson at the end of it. And a salesperson is, for the record, you're talking to your kid who wants a cookie right before dinner. That's sales. Like, so, I mean, across the board, that is one of my top tier books. Also, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is, I mean, that's the book that, like, if you haven't started developing your mindset, for me and so many other people, that's the book that helps, like, it all click, that like shit works different than you think it does. Man, let's see. I'm trying to think. I got my Audible list up right now. I'm gonna see if I can throw another one in here.
What's the heavy number 3, bro?
Man, I've got a lot of really good ones, man. Is it specific to entrepreneurs or no?
It can be anything.
Whatever you want, bud.
If you said Harry Potter, I'd be fine.
Well, I've never read the Harry Potter books. I like the movies, though. I recommend everybody go watch the Harry Potter movies.
Yes. There you go.
No, I think applicable to, not to get too political with it, but applicable to our current like situation in America. Fortitude by Dan Crenshaw is an amazing book. It's super good. It's not going to discuss a lot of political ideology. So he is a senator and he's a conservative, but it's more about the way that we treat people who disagree with us. And I think there is a ton of value in that book.
Bro, let's go. Okay. So I'll recommend the books that I had out today. So What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Helmstetter. Amazing. Like, teaching you literally how to talk to yourself and why. Like, it'll give you the why, it'll give you how to, it'll give you programs for, like, literally listening to, and that the fact that your subconscious is listening, it'll change you. So perfect resource right there. Another one, just happen to have it out. It's crazy. The Values Factor by Dr. DeMartini. So when we want to figure out, like, what fills us up, what fuels us, this is the book. It has exercises in it and programs for you. It's free. Once you get the book, or even before, you can go to drdemartini.com and do his quiz thing and try to identify your values and then refine them and like figure out like what fuels you up to where you could be doing something and do it for hours. Right. So that's that book. Then the third one that I'll give today is Inside Out Coaching by Joe Ehrman. And it is such a good book on just like the coach. He actually refers to the Wizard of Oz and how Dorothy is one of the best coaches that he's ever like realized, because she's coaching herself in that movie. She's coaching herself, like the Scarecrow, the lion, and the person that thinks they don't have a heart, the Tin Man, like that. Those are parts of herself that she's struggling with. And it's a very beautiful book. He talks about Jesus. He talks about like a lot of really good coaches and how to dig in and become not a transactional coach, but a transformational coach. So very, very good book for anybody that wants to transform their own lives and then maybe help others do the same. So yeah, very good.
Well, I love it. I love it. You boys haven't been on here yet. We finish every podcast with prayer, and I know some people aren't comfortable praying openly, or maybe they don't pray themselves. So when it comes your turn, if you just want to say a couple things you're grateful for, we appreciate you sitting through it while we talk. I usually open, so I'll start, and Jimmy usually closes. John, if you want to go second, Bobby, if you want to go third, that'd be wonderful. And like I said, if you don't have anything prayer-wise to say, just say some beautiful things you're grateful for today.
Sounds good.
Dear Lord, I just want to thank you today for these three amazing gentlemen. I am so blessed that you had them walk into my life. Every moment I get to talk with these guys, spend time with these guys, brings me joy, brings me education, brings me closer to being my most fulfilled and best self. And short and simple, I just am very appreciative today. I'm appreciative of the opportunities I have, and I'm appreciative for the people that you give me the opportunity to have in my life.
I am super duper grateful to be surrounded by men that I am inspired by, that I look up to, and to also experience that I do experience myself as one of them, despite whatever challenges I'm facing. So I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, thank you.
I am extremely grateful to be involved with a group of men such as yourself. It is very cool to see people who help me not just live by my own values, but increase my own values, both how I want to be ethically, morally, and all that, just along with more simple versions of, hey, do I want to, get some exercise in today and stuff like that. It's awesome to be included in a part of men that are truly working to be successful in every sense of the word.
Wow. I just thank you so much, Lord, just this group of monster freaking men, like just so beautiful. And I'm so thankful for that. And I love that we can all look at what we can give out of coaching instead of what we can get. And it doesn't have to be coaching. It can be in life. Like, what can we give to others? How can we make an impact? How can we love you and love others to the fullest? And realize too that there's not right or wrong when we're trying to love. There's effective and more effective. And to be able to give ourselves mercy and to be able to give ourselves grace, Lord God. I think a lot of us struggle with what is mercy and what is grace, Lord. And you show us that mercy is not getting what we do deserve. So if I call Bobby a douchebag, I deserve a punch in the face, to be honest. So if he doesn't give that to me, that's mercy. And that's the same thing with us, with you, Lord God. Unfortunately, we all have insatiable sins and desires that do come on us as impulses. And because of those things, we do deserve hell. But you give us mercy because of Jesus Christ, and we get to have that. And then we get grace. So grace is where we get what we don't deserve. And so that would be me saying something to Bobby and him not punching me in the face, giving me mercy, and then saying he loves me. Like, I don't deserve that either. So that's just amazing to realize the difference between mercy and grace, and that we can live a life forever with you in eternity and the next, and that we can literally just continue to sharpen each other, to edify, not to discourage, but to actually build each other up and help each other live this life to the fullest and become unshakable. It's in your precious name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Wow.
Oh, gosh.
Freaking love you guys. Let's get a
Same.
screenshot, eh?
Do it.
Oh, cool. I clicked spotlight. That's really helpful. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Gosh.
Got it, fam.
Sick.
Love you,
Thanks,
boys.
fellas.
It was a beautiful time chatting with you. I will
Awesome.
be seeing all of you tonight for a beautiful dinner.
Yes.
Very excited
Yeah.
to see you.
John,
So I
Let's
love it.
go.
I love it. It's the best we can do is have a beautiful day, and we'll get together tonight and have a beautiful night.
Amen.
All
Love
right,
you
see you,
guys.
boys.
Love
Love
you,
you
boys.
guys.
See you,
Peace.
fam.
Appreciate it.